at home watching your show is that I was concerned about the level of debt. So the deficit this year is going to be lower than the deficit last year, and in 2 years it will be lower again. We are going to bring the deficit down slowly. We didn't get here in 1 year. We didn't get here in 1 year, and this has been a long process. So the goal is to bring it down over the next 4 years, leave the country in great shape in 2028. We wanted to make sure that there aren't price increases, Margaret, and thus far there have been no price increases. Everything has been alarmist. That the inflation numbers are actually dropping. We saw the first drop of inflation in 4 years. The inflation numbers last week, they were very pro-consumer.
Right. But you listen to earnings calls just like we do. Mm-hmm. You know what Walmart's saying, what Best Buy's saying, and what Target are saying.
But Margaret, I also know what Home Depot and Amazon are saying. I know what the South China Morning Post wrote within the past 24 hours, that 65% of the tariffs will likely be eaten by the Chinese producers.
The reality is there will either be less inventory or things at higher prices or both.
Margaret, when we were here in March, you said there was going to be big inflation. There hasn't been any inflation. Actually, the inflation numbers are the best in 4 years. So why don't we stop trying to say this could happen and wait and see what does happen?
Over the weekend, the media is just getting destroyed over some narratives that they've been creating. A lot of things happened over the weekend. As you saw from the intro, Scott Bessent pretty much called out Margaret, this CBS host, if I remember correctly, constantly about the narratives that they push. And this is some of the things that I talk about, how media nowadays, especially with an industry dominated by left-wing actors or people who agree and align with the Democratic Party, their tactics come off very manipulative. And it is, right? You come out and you say, you create all this negative perception about Donald Trump. We already have stats showing that a lot of the news outlets cover Donald Trump negatively. They have a negative bias of Donald Trump. So whenever they create these little negative narratives, these negative framings, this negative view of how things are going to go, they always get proven wrong because their analysis is purely emotional. As you saw from the intro, Scott Bessent called her out. Say, hey, instead of saying what you think could happen, how about you wait and see what would happen? And that's exactly what I've been saying over the past week. And liberals, progressives, they don't seem to understand how this is like coming across to independents such as myself, right? So in this video, I wanted to give some evidence of what I've been seeing lately online. For instance, Cory Booker has been caught doing the Nazi salute. Remember when the media made this whole craze about the Nazi salute? Without further ado, let's show off the context that's needed to observe this, because the left are making excuses over why this is happening. And I think the primary context here is the left don't care about principles, they only care about politics.
Notice how when a Democrat does this, the Democrats in the media are not outraged, they're not calling people Nazis, they're not freaking out. But when Elon did it, the world was coming to an end and he's a Nazi. And this kind of sums up the reactions between the two. And this is a prime example of how you can tell the media and a multitude of Democrats care about emotionally manipulating people and controlling the narrative. They're not so much focused on truth or even being reasonable or fair. They care about narrative control. So when Elon did it, he was a Nazi. All the media was talking about it. Democrats were pushing it out like crazy. That's what they were attacking. Now, when other senators do something very, very similar, they're not really saying anything. The reality is neither Cory Booker nor Elon Musk were saluting Nazis. It's very obvious. Neither one of them were doing that. But the left recently tried to use that to create a narrative around Elon and damage his reputation. They tried to use it as a tool for manipulation, and it's gross. The reality is they're hypocrites. They don't care about being ideologically consistent. What they care about is controlling your perception, the narrative, and they care about winning elections. And again, it's gross. Things like this destroy the media's credibility along with many people on the left, and it shows us why we cannot take them seriously.
So let's go into this full quote. It's most amusing to watch all the people who branded Elon Musk a Nazi now trying to tie themselves in knots, trying to explain why Cory Booker isn't doing the exact same thing. Of course, neither is doing it, but the hypocrisy stinks. And this is the double standard that many conservatives has been calling out since 2016, for the most part online. One of these is problematic, the other is totally fine. Welcome to the double standards. And you have some leftists actually making an attempt to guard this. Oh, someone's it's actually a Nazi like Elon Musk and Cory Booker isn't. That's why context matters. No, only an emotional person will believe that. Only someone who is politically tribal will believe a nonsense statement like that. This is how they're trying to explain away. Oh, Elon Musk is actually a Nazi. Booker isn't one. So we can't interpret the same action the same way. Context matters. These are the excuses left-wing people tell themselves and other people to make excuses for things that is blatantly inconsistent from their reaction. And this is the kind of thing that hurts the credibility of the media. It's exactly how my guy in the clip, in the segment here, highlighted that it's about politics, it's not about principles. And I'm gonna give you another example. The same news host. Now it's not Scott Bassett owning her. This is gonna be the DHS secretary, if I remember his name correctly. Sorry if I got his position wrong. About the narratives about COVID and how they push that. And the media don't seem to understand this. Left-wing podcasters, left-wing influencers, they don't seem to understand that. The reason why the GOP has clout online is because a lot of things that we say, our framing is more accurate than it's not. All conservatives online are saying is it's a two-way street. How you believe one should act, you yourself should act within the same standard you're trying to condemn other people to act, right? It's the same argument that many people do on Christians who don't abide by Christianity. If you believe the world should operate like this, you should make sure you're operating in that same worldview that you're trying to push on other people. The minute that doesn't happen, people will call you out and you lose credibility. And this is exactly what happened to the left. This is exactly what happened to news media, especially liberal news media. And this is why liberals are crying about how the liberal news networks are hollowing out. MSNBC had a new lineup. They shifted their entire lineup and they're still losing ratings. Why? Because people see and observe the results, and they're seeing your results are not adding up to the bravado you pretend to have on these television networks. But I digress. Let's get into this clip highlighting exactly some narratives that the media pushed and then they got wrong. COVID being the number one example. Let's take a look.
Can you clearly state what the policy is? Because this is confusing.
Yeah, we believe the recommendation should be with the patient and their doctor. So we're going to get away from these blanket recommendations in healthy young Americans, because we don't want to see, on the COVID vaccine schedule, we don't want to see kids kicked out of school because a 12-year-old girl is not getting her 5th COVID booster shot. We don't see the data there to support a young, healthy child getting a repeat infinite annual COVID vaccine. There's a theory that we should sort of blindly approve the new COVID boosters in young, healthy kids every year in perpetuity, and a young girl born today should get 80 COVID mRNA shots or other COVID shots in her average lifespan. We're saying that's a theory, and we'd like to check in and get some randomized controlled data. It's been about 4 years since the original randomized trials. So we'd like an evidence-based approach. Dr. Prasad and I published this in the New England Journal of Medicine last.
And this is one of the things that always irks me about the left, right? They claim, oh, we trust the science, we trust the science, we trust the science. And then when they get hit with facts like this, oh, the last time we did randomized testing on COVID was 4 years ago. We don't know how the effects of the boosters. We've seen a lot of side effects that negatively affected young people, right? Crickets. They don't care about the concerns. They downplayed any negative side effects that happened with the vaccines, the COVID vaccines specifically. And now there's out here the FDA, I forget who, forced there's a label warning about possible side effects with the mRNA vaccine, about how it can affect the heart in young boys. And this was something you got called a conspiracy theorist 4 years ago. And this is the kind of example of how the GOP or conservative influencers earned their clout online. A conservative influencer will say something, say, hey, I think this is going to happen. This is why I'm skeptical of the data. This is why I believe this will happen. And then all you have to do is give it time. Give it time to play out. The media, everyone and their mom will say, oh, no, it's safe. You'll be immune from vaccinations, right? The conservatives online were saying that national immunity was a thing. I remember the left spent 2 years saying downplaying that natural immunity was a thing. Oh, you don't. There's no such thing. You need the vaccines to be resistant against COVID. And people are like, no. If you got COVID and you survived, you already got the immune systems. You don't need a vaccine. Conservatives were making this argument, and then 2 years later, scientists proved us to be true because it was based on historical knowledge we already know. But this is the game that the left played. This is why, in my view, as an independent, I can't trust a Democrat. I can't trust a Democratic voter because I believe they're easily manipulated emotionally, specifically. This is my honest opinion. When I see my liberal neighbors or my Democratic voting neighbors, and they're trying to give me some issue about, oh, Target's racist, I say, okay, why is Target racist? I don't do my own research. Oh, it's because Target don't want to support DEI, which is a racist standard to begin with. DEI is racism. DEI is racism under new management. And because Target don't want to support the racism under new management, you call it racist because you don't want to support a racist program like DEI. Make it make sense. This is what liberals do because they get emotionally manipulated to follow along what the Democrats recommend for them.
Last week, and we're basically saying we'd like to bring some confidence back to the public around this repeat booster strategy theory, because
your statement was not about repeat boosters. It says the vaccine is not recommended for pregnant women. The vaccine is not recommended for healthy children. That's different than annual boosters.
Yeah, at this point, we're dealing, it is a booster strategy. People would be getting the updated shot. So whether or not a young, healthy
kids who haven't gotten
so we'd
shot?
Like to see the data. We'd love to see that data.
But on a practical level, for a parent at home hearing you and trying to make sense
We're saying take it back to your doctor.
If their child has not been vaccinated, are you recommending that their first encounter with COVID be an actual infection?
We're not going to push the COVID shot in young, healthy kids without any clinical trial data supporting it. That is a decision between a parent and their doctor. And just so, I don't know if you know these statistics, but for 88% of American kids, their parents have said no to the COVID shot last season. So the vast majority of Americans are saying no. Maybe they want to see some clinical data as well. Maybe they have concerns about the safety.
I don't want to crowdsource my health guidance. I want a clear thing, right? You don't go with popularity. You go with, as you're saying, data. And when we
so let's see the data.
Exactly, that's what he's saying. There's no data, so therefore he can't make an assertion of whether or not he should recommend it to the entire country. And that stat, 88% of Americans do not give their kids vaccines. But I remember my last job I worked at, I had a liberal who I worked with, and he vaccinated his 7-year-old son. I'm like, I wouldn't do that. Oh, guys, get your vaccine. Because he bought the narrative that you guys on the media pushed. Oh, I need to get my kids vaccinated. My healthy 7-year-old boy vaccinated. I'm like, no way I'm vaccinating my kid with COVID. Hell nah. I'm on my second one, and none of them got the COVID shot, ever. This is the kind of thing that fundamentally the left don't like. Everything is about perception about them. They push you to vaccinate your healthy young kids with booster shots, Democratic voters, with no evidence to suggest that your kid actually needed it, all based on emotional manipulation. And this is an example of how I believe, right? I don't hate Democratic voters. Some people in the comment section, especially people who disagree with me in the comment section, they try to frame me as, oh, you just hate Democrats, you just hate Democratic voters. No, I don't. I just get angry that a group of people that are so easily manipulated will dare chastise me because I question their narratives, their perception, their premises, right? The things that they believe. They get mad at me for doing that. And I'm like, no, you can't just make a statement, oh, Target's racist. And then when I push back and ask, okay, what makes it racist? Oh, they don't support DEI. Isn't DEI racist? Because you only support black businesses. What about white businesses? What about Asian businesses? What about Hispanic businesses? Does that count? Like, why do we need to specifically support this group of people and their business endeavors? Why not do it for all the groups? Isn't DEI racism under management? You're crying. You're mad. This makes no sense to me. And this is the problem. This is one of the number one problems I have with Democratic supporters is that you guys, after win or lose, y'all tune out of politics, but y'all still hold on to these emotional, reactionary kind of beliefs. When you hear something the Republicans are doing, you instantly think it's bad. The health secretary don't want to recommend the COVID vaccines to young, healthy kids. Y'all say, oh my God, he's trying to kill kids. Oh, you want the kids to actually get COVID before? No, it doesn't matter if you got the vaccine or not. You can't prevent COVID. But these are the kind of emotional kind of statements and beliefs that liberals and Democrat voters will do to try to pressure independents like me to go along with them. Like, no, you're not going to emotionally manipulate me. And that is the problem, because end of the day, the left, their influence, their information sphere, they don't care about actually informing their voters and arming their voters with reasonable, credible arguments. All they care about is arming their voters, arming their supporters with narratives, manipulative tactics, emotional gaslighting, because all they care about is controlling controlling the narrative, while conservatives are trying to get closer to the truth and try to be pragmatic about the approaches of arriving to specific goals. Conservatives, I'll be the first one online to admit it, I have a preferable approach. I have a preference for certain approaches over others, and I give my reasons why. That's all I ask the left to do. But instead, the left, they want to make you a bad guy because you choose to do something differently, and they infer fear tactics, right? And before that, I'm gonna end off the video with this clip. This is an example of how emotionally manipulated the left is, to the point where they act as the very same thing that they deem that they're condemning. Let's take a look.
You came voluntarily. Did I ask you to come? No, don't shout at me. I'm defending fascism. No, I'm exposing you as a fascist. See, the problem is sometimes you get speakers like me who are not scared of people like you. Ultimately, you are afraid of ideas. You're not willing to engage with me. Yes, you're afraid of ideas. You're not afraid of fascists. You think I pose a threat to you? I'm an immigrant. I came to America with nothing. What threat do I pose to you?
You promoted dangerous, violent ideas that kill millions of people.
I propose dangerous, violent ideas to kill people? Who have I killed?
And you look at capitalism.
Do you realize that Hitler's deadly opponent was capitalism? The fascist ideology is one that is distinctly on the left. And the idea that the fascists are right-wing because they support racial superiority? Wait a minute. The guy who showed the Ku Klux Klan movie in the White House was Woodrow Wilson, a progressive Democrat. So progressivism was married to racism at the hip. So don't pretend it was a right-wing phenomenon. It wasn't.
Every accusation is confession from the left. Every accusation. I joke around on this channel. I don't know if it's an actual thing, but this is the thing I just made up out of the top of my head, so don't take it seriously. It'll probably be some inside joke for my channel, but that's the liberal fallacy. The liberal projection fallacy is what I called it. The liberals project everything that they themselves are guilty on onto the other side to create some false equivalency in their mind to justify their manipulative tactics, their bad faith arguments, their dishonesty, their attempts at controlling perception. This is why they do it. This is why they always go back to whataboutism. You saw from the clip, Dinesh D'Souza laid it out perfectly. How I'm a threat to you? Oh, you're spreading dangerous ideas. Isn't socialism a dangerous idea? Isn't Marxism a dangerous idea? If you go through socialism, they say it doesn't matter if you lie, cheat, or steal. All that matters is if you gain power so you can enact the greater good. And whenever these socialists or these self-proclaimed socialists attempt to enact real socialism, they always fail. And my question has always been, why would I even give you a chance to try again? Because if you fail, it will be too late. I can't fix it after you F it up. So I'd rather not even give you the attempt. This is some of the things that socialism, they catch themselves in a corner when they keep trying to make this excuse for themselves. Oh, that's not real socialism. And then I go down this line of thinking, oh, okay, so you, a supplicating socialism, think you know what true socialism is, but the person you said that didn't enact true socialism said the same thing that you're saying. So who's lying? Both of you guys are. Because socialism itself is not practical. It's not smart. Ask Canada. Ask Canada. 7% unemployment, higher chance. They have a higher chance of going through a recession before us in the United States of America. And they're more socialist than us, technically. More centralized government than us, technically. And this is the problems that the left run into. Is that when it's time to back up, when it's time to put up or shut up, they shut up every time. Because when you show down how, oh, we're good at governing, liberals will say. Okay, and then I look at all the liberal states, and I'm like, all the liberal-dominated states. I look at Illinois. You rose taxes on your citizens 16 times over your tenure, and you still have a budget deficit. Make it make sense. California, you spent $24 billion on homelessness, and only for homelessness to increase. So it's not a money problem, but that's what Democrats love to say. That's what socialists love to say. That's what Marxists love to say. Oh, we're just going to redistribute wealth. And then the people are still in the same position that they were before they got the redistribution of wealth. But I digress. I didn't want to make this too much of a long video, but these are some of the things that I get tired of people trying to control the narrative. How about you inform me? How about you give me clarity on your beliefs? How about you give me clarity on your principles? How about you tell me why you believe in an approach in a reasonable and articulate way instead of trying to control my perception, instead of trying to control the narrative? Because end of the day, controlling the narrative is code word for manipulation. But that's my thoughts. I'd like to hear yours in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Please share this video if you feel so inclined. It really does help me out in the algorithm. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.